Okay, this right here is a 2008 Chevy Cobalt. I have the garage door down to keep the sun out. This, I don't know the history of this for sure. It was acquired by my uncle out in Montana from a salvage auction, sort of like Copart. He fixed it up and brought it to Vermont, where where he gave it to my great uncle to drive around. This was maybe 2012, so it wasn't that old, and it had like 30 something thousand miles on it. So he drove it for years, and then when he died, my mother and I got the car, and that winter, it was really late in the winter when we got the car, and I thought I could get by on the tires that are on it, which aren't the best, but I couldn't, and smashed into a guardrail during a snowstorm. So it's been sitting for a while, trying to decide what to do with it, whether I want to fix it or just get rid of it. Right now, because it was inherited, I have no money in it. We have no money in it other than state inspection. So, but it would cost to have it repaired at a body shop. It would cost more than this car is worth, especially since it already has a salvage title. Well, I finally decided that I'm going to repair it. So I got these parts at a junkyard. Got a front bumper assembly, and it's surprisingly complete. I wasn't sure that I'd get one with like the license plate holder and grill and shroud and all that. And it even has the impact absorbing foam in there. I also got a radiator. It's not in the best shape, but I think it'll do. And I think it's better than this radiator, which you can see when I open it up that it's completely twisted. Also got a couple new headlights because they have the amber turn lenses. And this one, interestingly, this headlight apparently had an amber turn lens. This one does not. So I didn't realize that until after I decided to get two amber turn lens headlight assemblies, because I could only find the amber ones used. So I'm gonna stick one on, maybe the other one too. I don't know yet. I mean, I originally thought that it would look weird with just one on there, but I mean, like I said, I found one of these amber turn lenses in my bucket of stuff that I've already cut off the car. So apparently it had a mismatched set already, so, and I didn't notice it, so I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so I already took apart some of the stuff on this corner. I'm going to take the rest of the bumper cover off. I already took the grill off. I'm going to take out the radiator, an AC condenser, and I am going to, that's probably where I'll stop today. I'm going to, put the new parts in, make sure it's kind of working, then put the new bumper cover on. As far as the hood, I'm not replacing it. I'm just going to bend it back, and then the only other thing that I need to do is I need to touch up this gap here. Right now, it's too tight. When I open the door, it catches. So just some clever hammering should get that back out toward the front, make that gap a little wider like it is on this side. See, it's not too much wider, but it's definitely wider. Other than that, that's what I've got. And yeah, so the first thing I'm going to tackle is the bumper cover, which should be pretty easy. It's already loose all up in here. The only thing holding it on are these bolts in the fender. And then I think there's some down here. Yep, right there. Right there. And then this whole bumper cover will come off, and that will give me better access to the radiator, AC condenser, and fans. So, unfortunately, with this build, I got into kind of a time crunch, and I couldn't film the end of the build because I had to focus on actually finishing the build in time. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're unfortunately going to miss towards the end of this series. I think it's going to be a 3 or 4 part series. But I just wanted to add a note about the bumper cover. When you're putting on or taking off the bumper cover, the way I did it, the way I took it off is not the right way. Once I had it off and I could see everything, I figured out that the easiest way to put the bumper cover on or take it off is to undo all of those bolts on the side, in the fender, in the wheel well, just like I did. But then take off the headlight assembly, which I will be covering in the build series. I was able to film that. And those clips that I was talking about on the inside of that fender, they are held on by a couple bolts. I think they're like 10 millimeter. So once you take off the headlight assembly, which is really easy, just watch the video, you can look in there and you can see those bolts, and you should be able to figure out what to do. You just loosen those bolts up and the clips come undone, and you can just take the thing off, put the new one on, and make sure it's clipped in right and tighten up those bolts, and then you can work on the fender wells and underneath and do all the other clips. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to show you how to get off all of those body clips there, the clips that hold the body pieces into place. But basically, they're pretty easy. You know, if you just look at them, think about, okay, how can I pry this out? And don't be worried about breaking those small little clips, because you can always take them to an auto parts store and be like, hey, I need 5 of these, and they should be able to get you the right thing. Okay, the last thing we need to do is get these clips unclipped. This is what they look like. So it looks like I can go up from underneath and then stick a screwdriver in there and unclip them. This is what they look like on the car. You can't see that, but oh well. I forgot there's that up there that needs to come off. And my camera battery's about to die. Okay, so I took out the radiator. I left the AC condenser in place because it seems like it's maybe blowing cold, and I don't want to have to bother with the Freon, the refrigerant, if I don't have to. So I can always go back in and replace that if I figure out that that's leaking, or I could live without AC. So to take out the radiator, there's this LF sorta, it's like a cursive F almost, shaped bracket that goes right there. And then there's another one, identical pretty much, that goes right there. So you just undo the bolts, take them out. Apparently there's two different types of radiators. One of them has these quick disconnect mounts like this. The other one has bolts. But basically the radiator sits in there. And so when you undo these top mounts, you take them out. And then you just rip the radiator out of the bottom mounts. And see, there is the quick disconnect bottom mount. There's one, there's two. So there's that. Now before you do all that, you need to disconnect the radiator from the condenser if you are not taking out the condenser. You can take them out as one big thing, but you have to disconnect the refrigerant lines. So right there and right there are the places where the condenser bolts in place. You can see the bolts on the condenser, that bottom one right there, and then the one down here. That's where the condenser bolts to the radiator. And then on the radiator, you have two hoses. You take off the hose clamps there and take the hose out right there and right there. And it's also got two fittings. So I used pliers to take out the hose clamps, take off the hose clamps, take off the coolant lines, and then these fittings back here. These fittings back here, I believe these go to the transmission for like an intercooler. At least that's what I think. So remember, because you're facing backwards from where the bolt goes in, it's opposite. So you go like that, and it's 19 millimeters. And you just take them out. It takes a while. So you just take them both out. This is the quote-unquote new radiator. Not the best radiator ever, but it looks more, there's these smaller imperfections, a lot more of these smaller imperfections than there was on this radiator. But this radiator has a big old hole right there, and it's got this overall bend, and like I said, it was not cooling, it was overheating quite a bit. And there's a lot of burned coolant that missed the catch pan. So, yeah. Whoops. Alright, so the fan is built into the shroud, and it's attached to the radiator using clips right on the back, right there at the top, and there at the bottom. So, to undo these, all you need to do is stick a screwdriver into there, and lift up. And at the same time, take another screwdriver that I don't have right here, and you do this bottom one in this direction. So you put the screwdriver in just like that, and pry upwards. And that undoes the two clips, and there's two identical clips on the other side. Also, I had to disconnect the wiring harness, which goes in right there. It's just a 3-wire plug that goes in there, so that's easy enough. You just disconnect it, plug it back in when you go to put the new radiator in. So this took about 4 non-consecutive hours to get all of this done. Of course, a lot of that time was spent cleaning up tools, cleaning up a coolant spill, etc. So I am going to take off the other fitting, which was clipped off at the junkyard, and then I am going to drop the new radiator in. I am going to reconnect the lines, and then I think I am going to reconnect the lines, completely install the radiator, and then I think I'm going to test it and see if it will cool. And if it's still not cooling, I might have to get a thermostat